Awesome. So you were born and raised in northern Idaho. How was it growing up in Idaho, ranching and farming?
Oh God, it's a humbling lifestyle. You know, you grew up on the land. For me, I have a lot of good memories sitting on my grandfather's lap at the rise of the sun, and it's amazing when I look back on that, thinking how lucky I was as a kid. My grandfather was a farmer, and so I just remember him sitting in his overalls on a lawn chair as we just overlooked the entire landscape, and he would just talk about the old days. And I was just a kid at that time, like 5 or 6, and watching the sunrise with him, and it's beautiful like that. It's quiet. You would hear the birds and wildlife, everyone starting to wake up, and just seeing how the sun kisses upon everything. But it's so holistic, and I'm just really humbled by that. But that's what it's like growing up on your family farmlands.
That's awesome. And I
It's
think,
really peaceful.
and you're a citizen, you're Native American, and you're a citizen, I want to say this correctly, the Coeur d'Alene tribe. Did I say it right?
Yes, Coeur d'Alene tribe. You did. Yeah, it's not easy either. It's a French name. It's actually what the French fur trappers, when they came into our area, what they decided to call us because we were very sharp-skilled, or they say sharp-tongued business people.
Right,
We
right.
were
And I mean,
strong negotiators, as
I
they say.
guess that also means the discovered people or those who were found here. And clearly, the French came here, and you were already here. I mean, it's clear the Europeans came over here, took the land. So you're also a part of your ancestry is a Cinquese. Is that right?
Yeah, Sincayus. Yeah, my grandfather
Cinquese.
was a big chief of the Northwest. Yeah.
And
And
also
he
Nez
ranched about 1.5 acres of land before. Yeah. And then the Nez Perce tribe.
Nez
Nez Perce
Perce, and
tribe,
then
people are very familiar with my grandfather, Chief Joseph, there.
wow, and then Yakima Palouse.
Yeah, and the Yakima Palouse, and a lot like it's interesting because people don't understand the breakdown of the tribes. There's so many bands or tribes. There's over 575 still alive tribal nations, separate tribal nations in this country. My grandfathers come from different tribes, and they were or arranged marriage, in my line. And so a lot of our bands or tribes were interconnected that way, mostly by marriage.
Wow, wow, and it
So
amazes me
the
because
blues, where I'm from.
you just talked about your grandfather farmed 1 million acres, like literally, like 1 million acres, like he was responsible for that.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a well-known rancher back in his time. But
Wow,
you know what? If it were in the history books, they would talk about the relationship with the earlier agents of this country and how they would take the land and resources from indigenous peoples. And I'm not too far from that. I'm just a few generations removed.
that's amazing, and I was so excited
Yeah,
when
but
I
we were
found
pretty
out.
self-sufficient people.
Am I breaking up? Do you come in? Is it delayed from end to end?
You're not delayed on my end. You're fine. I might be in
Yeah,
a bad area. Sometimes the reception's a little spotty here.
you're a little delayed, but we can hear you. So I'm going to keep it going. But I think it's crazy. Like when I think about the Native Americans, I mean, obviously black people have had, Africans were brought here to America. But I think about the indigenous people that were here when the Europeans came. And as I was doing some research just to see the amounts of land that your forefathers and mothers had. I mean, you talk about Idaho, Montana, like just all the land that they came. And I know, that you've been quote unquote awarded land, like indigenous people and families and generations have been awarded land and have certain sanctuary places, but what is that like growing up knowing how much was taken and then obviously what little was given back?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't look at it as being rewarded, but I'm sure that's often what is portrayed. You imagine if you have, family ancestral lands where your people practice ceremony and they have their summer campgrounds and like to hunt and fish and really enjoy the resources. And, our practice is really about cultivation. So my grandmothers who were medicine women, they would cultivate the land with their medicines. And then just imagine you being pulled from that and relocated to what would be a fenceless prison. And these fenceless prison systems are called now reservations, and they're smaller tracts of land. And after you're taken from your land in that way, it's just a way to try to disconnect you to your connection to this earth. And that was unfortunate. And it's sad because it's still not taught in the schools. It's not taught in this country's history. And we're still fighting back to even buy the lands that were stolen so that we can have sovereignty over these lands and be able to practice our culture and our language, our way of life. And in that means we are protecting water, we're protecting habitat and natural resources. So it's our practice, our way of people as being ambassadors of the planet. But you can't do that if you don't have rights over it. So it's pretty tough in this day and age. But that's just who we are as Indigenous peoples.
Yeah, no,
So you just got to roll with it. And I'm very fortunate we're resilient.
Yeah, no, super resilient and super smart. I think, for me, it's just so. I don't know about you. I'm older than you, and I've obviously learned more and more as you grow, more that you read, because, like you said, a lot of things aren't in the textbooks, right? And then when I think about like where we are as a society and how the boiling, we're in the middle of the boiling point. Like this is like change has to come across the board. I mean, if you look at Native Americans and what was taken from them, if you look at how Africans were treated when they were brought here, I mean, and it's a sect of people, and this is not to be racist or racial, but it's more to point out like what is really due to who. And I think that, this is where I go to politics. I go into politics like, well, who really understands this? Like, who can really fight for the people? And I loved your, on your page, how you had, we need to focus on people first. And when I think of people first, I think the people who have built this land. I think of the people who the land was stolen from. And I just love to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, my grandfathers and my grandmothers would always say to me that we don't inherit the land, or excuse me, we don't own the land. Our children inherit it for the future. And that goes back to not having ownership of anything. We truly don't own anything, which is why, we don't get caught up in this land ownership nonsense. That's all greed and corruption. But we just want to make sure that our children, have, everything that they need to be prepared for this inheritance, because they're inheriting a land right now that is being corrupted. That's why we're so big on protecting our water and our air, because we don't want to hand them over corrupted water and polluted air. So we want to do right by our children, and that's my whole campaign's vision. We operate on this Indigenous leadership that is about the future.
Wow. And I was
selfless.
actually researching, your ancestry with all the different tribes that are mixed up in your family tree. And I was noticing that a lot of them were around water. Like water was a main connecting piece to all of the tribes. Was that like specific to the era, or what was that tie-in?
Well, water is certainly, the bond of all life. But yeah, all of our people, we're always around rivers and lakes, and we really value that element. It's a higher power. It's part of our ceremonies. It's really in everything that we do. So we want to make sure we're protecting water. We have names for her in all of our different languages. And so we just, we try to be respectful in everything because it's all connected, and we're part of that circle. We're not above it or below it, but we're equal to, and that's how we should operate in this life. That's why I believe that nature should have rights. Water should have protected rights, and that's how we should move forward in this world.
I love that. You sound like a really grounded spiritual being. I love your energy, and I'm mad that it's coming in kind of staggered, but I'm receiving it and I feel it. And your Wi-Fi and I are going to have problems one day. But I love that answer. And I want to say this because
okay.
I truly believe that women specifically have a certain offering, and we clearly know the maternal differences to men, but you're caring of things like you're discussing. I think women will save the world. And I'm here to champion all women that have the foresight and the vision to lead us. And I think, and I want to get into politics now, obviously, because you're running for office in Idaho. But I just want to kind of like, see, because again, we need to focus on our people rung home with me, with you. And when I started doing the research, that was one of the first mantras I saw amongst, your offerings. And I just feel like that's what it's totally about. But, how would you lead? Because I don't just see Idaho being it for you. So, yeah, how are you going to lead starting with the Senate in Idaho?
You have to be all inclusive. And like yesterday, I had a great meeting with the president of the NAACP. And, you have to be respectful to all your elders, all walks of life. And again, race is just a social construct that is misleading to our people. Just like the dissemination of our religions and all of our cultures far and wide. Right before I met with the president of the NAACP, I met with the refugees in Boise, Idaho. And, they represent 10,000 refugees in our state who are never taken serious. They've never had any candidate or official meet with them and sit down and talk about the issues or their concerns. But this is what leadership looks like. It's all inclusive. Everyone should have a seat at the table. And I met with the first Latina ever elected to any body, and especially for the Boise City Council. Her name's Lisa Sanchez, and she's a very dear sister friend of mine. And she's, she talked about a lot of the concerns she has. And so while we are meeting with every single facet of our community, we're making sure that they're not only heard, but respected. And I think that's really what's unique in politics is, since I was young, I never heard that element, really be included. What does this person think and that person? Even young people today aren't often listening to their elders. And I think that's very important because people just like to move and shift really quickly. But I've learned that, as you get older, your elders know something, and we're all much better off and wiser for it. But sometimes progress is slow and steady, and it's not just, a simple step overnight. That's why I appreciate young activists like Tamika Mallory and Sean King doing some excellent things that are keeping a mic close to the people. And it's very powerful because you do need young people across this country, a part of this conversation and being leaders. But you also got to connect those young people to those who've been there and done that, in that elder base. And I think that institutional wisdom or that experience and knowledge, that has to be part of the conversation as well. Because for me, I see activism being key, but I see that our elders play a very strong role. And I don't want them to get left out, but that's why I take the time to meet with them, because I do want our country to heal. And that's what leadership is all about.
Come on.
It's not about holding a title and collecting money. It's about actually making a shift and addressing the needs and concerns of the people. And by and large, I tell you, I come from a whole line of chiefs, and none of them got paid to do what they did. They were the most humble people in the community.
Wow.
And, in fact, people don't want to be chief because it's the most humbling job. But when you're bestowed that position, it's an incredible honor and a privilege.
Well, let me
I'm
let
really
me say
fortunate and
this.
privileged to be here, to be asked to, represent my state. And,
No, I
go
think
ahead.
I was going to call you Chief Paulette Jordan. Chief, I don't have your bobblehead yet, so Michelle is going to represent you throughout the conversation, so don't mind it. But when you get your bobblehead, send me your bobblehead. But I wanted to ask you this because when you speak, you don't speak like a politician. You speak like a human being. And the problem I have with politics is that, the Republican Party would rather have power than purpose. And I feel like because, and this is just, again, I'm new to politics. This man right here got me into politics. But other than that, and this woman right here, but other than that, I've been just seeing how white women, for instance, white women might have been the catalyst for Donald Trump's election. People like Donald Trump, and I'm trying to be sensitive about this, but people like Donald Trump treat all human beings bad, including their own. And I just don't know how someone can still stand by Donald Trump. Now, if they voted for him in the beginning, whatever, and they thought he was going to bring business and he was going to do this and I get that. I'll even give you a pass for that. What I can't understand is, though, how any woman can support him or any human that has compassion for other humans support him. And it seems to be the Republican Party's way.
Yeah. hmm Yeah, I think that's what's nice about the Democratic Party is that it's becoming this renewed sense of inclusion where it's the People's Party. And, that's what our young people are going to wake up to is that there's a base of leadership that is leading this new party where it's all women of color, mothers like myself, and they're starting to reconstruct, what a political party system should look like, representing all the voices. So, you definitely have the left and the right, but, even where the Democratic Party is rebuilding itself from the ground up, I'm very proud to say that, we have an environmental council. We have all these young groups representing each community that are being heard and respected from within. So there's a change within the system. And that's what we all want, as young people. And, I've been asked to be part of being a voice for rural America. And I want to make sure that we all have a seat at the table there too. So we're working on it. And I will tell you that what you just said, where you're lacking humanity, in one political party system, that's what we all see, unfortunately. And that's why while I was, from rural North Idaho, I voted for the person, not the party, but for the person. So I would vote Republican sometimes. I was very independent and still am very independent. But deciding to serve in public office, I chose the Democratic Party because it was more inclusive and it was open to new ideas, open to young people like myself. And I'm not, like a cookie cutter type Democrat. I'm a very independent woman myself, and I'm very proud of my rural roots, my ancestry. But, I just want to say that that's where I see the future of the Democratic Party going, especially when you have people like Seema, who's the executive, and my sister Mathoni, who's the new political director. She's Black, but she's Indigenous. She's like all of us. We all have our Indigenous roots, and we stay close to those roots. So I'm really proud of them for really driving a new message that wants to be respectful and is listening to these folks who've never been heard from. So they're just like me. They're seeking to make change. But you got to look at who's at the top, and people have to know that Trump is cutting out our Hispanic brothers and sisters from the South. And I'll tell you, being the only Indigenous person in the room most times politically, there are no such things as borders. The people to the south in Mexico, those are our Indigenous relatives too. It's funny because, people are always telling them to go back to their country, or I've been told to go back to my country. I just go back home. But, I think, okay,
What the
it's
fuck?
because the biggest hypocrites are these Europeans that come here and then they tell us to go home. And I said, well, we've been here for thousands of years, and we're actually very open to visitors coming through and making a home here because we don't own this land, we don't own Mother Earth. She owns us, and she allows us to live here. So, we just got to change our mindset, our way of thinking, and express our culture in that way.
Yeah, but see, this is why I think why you're a necessary superhero, because the way your ancestry has taught you is that it is bigger than you. When I read upon, indigenous culture, I need thoughtful people in office, because when you think about climate change, yo, go to Antarctica, see the icebergs melting. Go watch the seasonal. As kids, we grew up. I'm sure you grew up in Idaho with seasons would be seasons. You would have hot, cold. Now it's raining while it's snowing. It's snowing while it's sunny. It's a whole. And to not think that they're connected is irresponsible.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the climate crisis impacts most communities of color, and people have to understand that if there's waste being dumped, it's on reservation lands, which are tribal communities. If the water's being
No, I need you, Paul. Don't. Where are you? Don't you go away. You're moving in slow motion right now. You look like you're there. You go. Hello. Are you there?
Oh yeah, I have to move to get better reception.
Yeah, people are really enjoying your conversation. I don't want it to keep cutting out.
Yeah, sorry
Yeah, we
about
got to
that.
get you.
It's
I'm going to
I have
send you a
trouble switching out
Wi-Fi
here.
box the size of a barn. So I can hear you now. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you hear me
You're
okay?
kind of in focus now. I can see you better now too.
I think our connection is just rough
Yeah,
out
it's
here.
rough. This conversation is so amazing. I don't want to stop it.
But it has the video.
Hello. You know what? Let's
Okay.
try to log back in. Hang up and log back in.
Okay.
All right. Yo, listen, this is an important conversation. As you can see, she's super intelligent, super focused, super necessary. And I'm trying to just frame this picture of what we need in office, guys. Like people like her get it. They don't come from uh, the school of tear the world up and let's figure it out. Um, yeah, Native Americans, man, they're very spiritual people, man. So I'm trying to make sure she is in here, guys. She is really cool. Her energy. I mean, even with the choppiness, I'm over here like lifted and inspired. But we need more of that, y'all. We need more people. We gotta find them. We gotta find them. Her energy, right though. We need that. We need people to understand. And people who aren't bitter. That was my next question. Because I'd be bitter sometime, y'all. I can't take it. Listen, they go left on us so much.
Okay. We're going to try this again.
I see you perfect. You sound great. But they said they heard you. Everyone
Okay.
said they heard what you
How do we
said.
set?
So we'll continue the conversation just so we can get it all in, just in case the Wi-Fi monster comes back. So no,
Okay. I'm sorry about
it's
that.
all
It's like hit
love.
and
You
miss
are worth the
sometimes.
time. So I just, the one thing I love about your demeanor is that you have every right to be mad, right? Black people have every right to be mad. Indigenous people have every right to be mad. We could be mad. We could walk around with a chip on our shoulders. We could hate races for the way that they treated our ancestors. We could do a lot of that. But the ones like you, me, and others that don't, I feel like that's the only way we can fix this broken system.
Absolutely. My uncles, my relatives would say you got to let love and light in. You got to be idealistic and optimistic. And otherwise, if we weren't, we wouldn't be in this place that we're in now. We wouldn't survive. Hate and greed, it's an ugly virus. It's a disease. We don't want that to let a hold of our people. We got to survive. Our kids got to do better. They have so much responsibility on this planet. Everyone carries a strong purpose. And that's our purpose, you and I. We all have a purpose to open the doors for our kids because they're going to bring peace. So I'm often reminded that I got to be that warrior of peace and lead by example. So
Yeah.
it's, just put our egos aside and we're good.
Yeah, and you know what, Paulette? Your business,
Yes.
much like mine, is based on people. And it's based on the connection we have with them and how we're able to get out of them what they one need and then also two what we need them to do. And I feel like, for me, like quarantine for me, Chief Paulette Jordan, has been very eye-opening, even culturally for me. Like my family, the trauma that I had as a child, things I saw as a child. How has it been for you? Because I know, like, with politics comes rhetoric. Obviously we're in a tumultuous time. I don't know how bad it is in Idaho, which is not a metropolis, but I can imagine you feel it from your constituents. So how's that been for you in reflecting for yourself?
Yeah, people want you to be angry sometimes. And, that's just never been in me to be angry. I think for us, we got to be thankful. Every day you wake up grateful for your ancestors being there with you as guides, just being humbled by the fact that you're here and being surrounded by nature. I'm a mother of two sons. I know that you know what that's like, having children, having sons, and there's just a great deal of responsibility in that, bringing these great spirits in this planet with us. And so I just say that I'm always humbled. I feel grateful for everything. And again, I don't have time to be angry. I just got to keep moving forward. And there's always going to be those people who want to see you fail. There's always going to be people who will talk negatively about you, even from your own
Yeah.
community. And I know you know what that looks like, because we get people who are like that sometimes. And, it's just, it doesn't mean that everyone can be awake. And while we're going through this great awakening process, not everyone's going to be connected. So you just got to keep moving on and doing what's right. Just champion all the good things and all the blessings you're getting. Just be grateful. You can't slow down to think that I should be getting this, or I should be there. That should be me. You just got to continue praising the people that are doing right, and then bring them with you.
Come on.
Try to be part of the collective. Lead the collective if you need to.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. We're leading the collective. We're trying to build everyone in, because it's not about you being successful. It's about everybody being successful together. And I said that when I won my primary in Idaho, that it's not a win for me. That was a win for Idaho and Idaho's children. And whenever, they're voting and participating, that's a win for all of us. So we hope to have a great turnout come November. And, every step of the way, anything that, we are able to achieve and accomplish, that's for everybody in Idaho's future and the nation.
Yes.
Because they've never seen Indigenous leadership like mine. They've never seen leadership like yours. And I think this is new to the system. And we are changing, the way people see things, because these conversations have not yet happened yet. And so as you start to change the way people think as they're waking up, people respond differently, and decisions and actions, they become more direct, but more effective. So that's what I'm seeing right now.
So Paulette, let me ask you this: what do we have to do to get you in office? What do you see is the most necessary, thing for you to accomplish in your race to become senator for Idaho? We want to help you win. How can we help you win?
We need participants. We need people to understand that there's a major election happening in Idaho. Idaho tends to be a flyover state, and I say that with quotes, because people tend to undermine Idaho being they think it's just a blood red state, and that there are no Democrats or no people of color, and we're a pretty diverse state, but we got to get all of our folks to vote. We have over 101,000 Hispanic voters who are eligible to vote. Wow. And a small percentage of them vote. If we got at least 35% of them to vote, we would win elections statewide. Wow. Same with our African American community, our Indigenous community. If everyone just voted at least 50% of their population, we would win elections. But we lack so much representation, from local city council level to even school board seats, to the state legislature, and of course all of our statewide seats. And that could change. That could change to where we're not being attacked, where our trans children are not being attacked. They passed a bill attacking our children this year. They're going after our children now. Even the Indian Child Welfare Act, is just undermined. And so all of our kids from every community, DACA students, are not being protected. And our immigrant population, those families are being pulled apart. And it's really unfortunate. It's just, again, it's all disturbing to me, but I always think, we can do more, we can do better, but this is our time to fight back. And now that we have the microphone, let's make sure that people are listening and we're spreading the right message. But that needs to be our message of truth. And there's so much injustice. That's why criminal justice reform is a big part of my platform. Our communities have the highest numbers of representation within the prison system. He was saying how a lot of our young men go in the system and then they get caught in the system forever, and it's unending. So these injustices must be addressed, and whether it's you or I, the young activists who want to see change, I just hope that everyone turns that collective anger and frustration into a positive, and they show up at the polls and vote, or vote by mail, because they have that right and they got to utilize that right. And right now, that's the most important time in this nation's history. And I will tell you, because I've been here for thousands of generations, I come with my ancestors at my side who have seen hundreds and hundreds of years of injustices brought upon our people of peace. Our people of peace who have been here doing good things and living in balance. And we have an egalitarian society where men and women are equal. And yet, where we've been corrupted, where everything has been taken, from the people, even our people's humanity, and it's sad. So I just feel that this is our time of healing, and as leaders, we got to help people see that within them, that they have
Yes.
leadership within them and healing abilities and the ability to heal themselves. And that needs to happen first. And then we start electing our voices to be inside the building. Because I'll tell you something, my grandfather, he was the chief of our people and a World War II veteran, he said this to me one time. He says, "Granddaughter, you got to be on the inside of that glass." Because I tell you, I'm not a politician, and I just say, I don't know if I want to do this, but these folks in my community are asking me to run. And he said, "Well, you have to do that because we need your voice in there. No longer can we just sit outside the building yelling for those on the inside to hear us. We got to be inside that building in the halls of authority to make the right decisions for all of us.
Yeah.
And if it's anyone, it's going to be you." And so he passed away. That was when he was 93. Oh. But when he passed on, he said, "I just want to make sure that you're in these positions, being a voice for not just nature, but humanity. And make sure you keep that promise to me."
That's awesome.
But I do. I make sure that is always at the core of my way of being here. And yes, thank you. And of course, I hope that people will step up by joining our website, PauletteForSenate.com. They can give to our campaign. They can be part of the campaign by making some phone calls, volunteering. Lindsay Christian is our digital director, and she's in Idaho.
Absolutely. And once you're elected and you're in Washington, D.C. representing Idaho, I think that's, where you should become Chief Paulette Jordan for real. And I think you should figure out your pulpit moments to have these spiritual moments with people that aren't spiritual. Because I really feel like if you can align yourself, and I'm wholeheartedly serious about this, if you can align yourself with other thoughtful spiritual people, you can cast a spell over the last of the bullshit guard. I feel like that guard is dying, literally. I feel like that they have no place in this current world that we want to be, that we want. And I feel like your presence, you have such presence. You have such, and it's not even just you. It's like it's your ancestry and all the people that have spoken life into you and given you all these feels. So I support you. I want to talk longer, but you're going in and out, and I don't want to lose the information. So we're going to be on TV together soon. I feel this in my spirit, and I know that it's going to happen, and I can't wait. And you'll be Senator of Idaho.
All right. I love that. And people got to remember that Dr. Martin Luther King, he was guided by the ancestors. And, you got to see how powerful that is when you stay connected. We just got to open ourselves up and spiritually connect.
Awesome. Well, I wish you the best. And we'll do this again, like I said, where we're not interrupted by the Wi-Fi monster.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks for your time, Kenny. I really, truly appreciate you. Love you very much.
Absolutely. I'll see you soon. Bye. I really want more. I want more. If you don't know who that was, if you're just tuning in, that was Chief Paulette Jordan from Idaho. She's running for Senate. And, the things that I just hope you take away from that. She's Native American. She has about 4 or 5 tribes within her ancestry and her makeup. And, indigenous people, man, we're spiritual people. We come from lineage of understanding human and nature and human nature and being one with our people, our communities, the earth. And I just, I want to highlight people like that. I want to highlight people that, frame people that get it, that understand it's bigger than politics. I was fascinated, like I mentioned, and if you just joined, I mentioned early in the conversation where I was kind of researching the tribes that are part of her timeline and just how connected to the water each of them were. And then she spoke to how, water is binding, right? All of us, really. I mean, the most powerful form of nature on the earth. But I just want y'all to, man, like tap in, y'all. And I've been going on this political journey, making sure people have information, making sure you see people like you, thoughtful people that give a fuck. They're out there. You know what I'm saying? You just got to do the research. And if you don't, are not educated and are registered to vote, go to people you trust for the instruction. There's nothing wrong with getting instruction, going to find out who you should vote for, who you should support. I mean, these, again, your voice counts, guys. Your voice matters. You have the opportunity to put people you want in office. Local and state, ladies and gentlemen, local and state government are just as important as the federal election or the federal candidates like the president. Trust me. When it comes to these judges, it comes to your DAs, your police chiefs, things of that nature, local and state are very important. And it starts there. Obama was a senator. Hello? You start somewhere, you grow. So I want you guys to, just lock in. Please follow Paulette Jordan at Elect Paulette. If you know anybody in Idaho, that is a red state, ladies and gentlemen. That means we need to flip it. So we need to get the people that have, voting power in that state to vote. And again, I want to do this once a week. I want to bring the information to you guys so you can process it and act accordingly. All right. Tomorrow, I don't know if you've seen Black Love. My wife and I had the honor of doing Black Love. Cody and Tommy are the creators of that show. I'm having them on the Kenny Burns show tomorrow. This has been an amazing journey with you guys this last 4 months creating this show, almost 50 episodes. Oh, I got to have a 50th episode celebration. So tomorrow's going to be a very, very dope show. Love and relationships will be on deck. And man, I just feel so connected with y'all.